Hey, everybody. My name is Dominic Dominguez, and I am the Chief Operating Officer for Gardopia Gardens. We're a 501c3 nonprofit agency based in the east side of San Antonio, Texas, and we're all about educating people on the best practices of gardening. And today, I'll be discussing with you guys one of my favorite topics, raised beds. So just a little bit of vocabulary. Three, right? Organic gardening, fertilizer, and compost. So organic gardening is the gardening without the use of any synthetic fertilizers or pesticides. It's gardening that can actually support healthy ecosystems. The next one is fertilizer. So fertilizer is plant food, and it's a chemical or natural substance that is added to soil to increase its fertility in the form of nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. So we love fertilizer for our plant food. And the last one is compost. This is decayed organic matter, and it's really used to increase soil structure and help our soils maintain adequate moisture. So just some reasons for gardening. It's great for our physical and mental health. I can't stress that enough. These gardens, either they're at home or in the community, they offer ecosystem services in the form of recreation, aesthetics, education. Next, when we're doing gardening in community, we're building our community pride that overall increases safety. And what a great way to meet our neighbors. And so I'm going to show you guys a picture of my parents' garden. This was a garden that was back in 2014, and they just had containers. They were doing container gardening. They had these tomato plants that were there. And I show you guys this because this is the before picture, I promise. And then we sat down and we rethought, how can we utilize this space in a creative way that would really help increase their production of their fruits and their vegetables that they were growing. And, after some conversations, we sat down and we thought, hey, raised beds are a great way to go. And so this was it. A year later, we made raised beds out of cedar wood. And we made sure that it was heat treated. I'll get to that a little bit later. But you can see raised beds, they're great for holding in our soils. They're great for ensuring that our fertilizer is not leaching out into the environment. Sometimes fertilizer can get to grass. This really helps it stay inside of the raised bed that we're utilizing it in. And overall, they're just aesthetically beautiful to look at. And so there are 6 principles I think about when we are building our garden, right? We want to choose a site that's super great. We want to have good recommended varieties that are native to our area, right? So right now we're in Central Texas and San Antonio, but wherever you guys are, take a look at your extension office and see what are good recommended varieties for your location. We want to plant at the right time. So it doesn't make sense to plant winter crops in the summer and summer crops in the winter. We don't want to plant our melons in the winter. We want to plant them in the summertime, right, when they're going to grow. So these plants have certain vegetative cycles, and we need to make sure that we're putting them in at the right time for our biggest production. Next one is soil preparation. This is in the form of utilizing compost and fertilizer. We really want a good organic compost blend. Here at Gardopia, we use quality organic products. They're in the north side of San Antonio. They have really great stuff. They were consulted by Malcolm Beck, who is arguably one of the fathers of Central Texas gardening. And Malcolm helped them develop that mixture recipe: red sand, green sand, vegetable debris, you name it, right? It's just really great stuff in order for helping plants have the soil structure, the permeability of water, and then the right amount of retention that they need in order to be healthy and successful. And that really goes to maintaining adequate soil moisture. So when you have a good quality compost, it starts with your soil, guys. You want to make sure that Your good soil will help you maintain the quality of water that is good for your plants. And lastly, we want to control for weeds, diseases, and pests and insects, right? So being able to follow, as Malcolm Beck says, you get weeds and disease and insects when you're not doing the other 5 steps before. So consider those signs as having not followed one of steps 1 through 5. But all that to say, the first one is your location. Plants, they work hard like us, right? And they need 8 hours of sunlight plus, right? Anywhere between 8 to 10 hours of sunlight. You're going to want to pick a location that starts getting sunlight at around 7:30, so it can get that low intensity heat. And then as time progresses to around 3:30 or 4, that would be the end of direct sunlight, and really the utilization of light that could be diffused, maybe from a tree or your gutters, maybe from a roof, to really let that plant not get burned up by the higher intensities of temperature that tend to be in the summertime, when they're temperatures that are 100 degrees plus. You do not want your plants in the sun at 105, 110 degrees plus. You also want to pick a site that has good internal and external drainage. What you can do is, once you selected your site that has 8 to 10 hours of sunlight, take your shovel and dig about 6 to 8 inches deep. Fill up that hole about the size of a bucket, and then fill up that hole with water. And if you do that at night, check in the morning. And if that water is gone, you're good to go, right? Excellent. You also want to pick a site that is free from competition of weeds and trees. You do not want to be at a location that has any type of grass that you haven't removed, or any type of weeds, or any type of trees, right? Then you end up just feeding those rather than your plants, right? And then a big one, I can't stress this enough, is you need to find a location that is near a water source. Oh my gosh, you're going to dread it. You're going to dread grabbing your hose and moving it halfway across the yard all the way to where you are at your garden site, like something like 40 or 50 feet, sometimes 70 or 80 feet. You want to pick a spot that's like 10 to 20 feet max from your water spout. So just make sure that you find something that is near water. The next one is to plant recommended varieties in their appropriate season. So we have a great resource here in Bexar County. We have the Bexar County Agri-Life Extension Service. And David Rodriguez is the horticulture extension agent. And I can't advocate more for picking varieties that do well in your area. And they put out a list of recommended varieties to plant in the spring and in the fall. And they tell you, hey, these are great times. This is when you want to plant it. This is when you want to either direct sow or use a seedling. They'll tell you exactly what plant you want to buy. So go to your local nursery, like Fanex or Rainbow Garden. Shout out to Fanex. We love you guys. And many other local nurseries in San Antonio, they are going to have seasonal vegetation, in which many of which are tested by Texas A&M University. You're going to find stuff such as BHN 968, which is dwarf cherry surprise. You're going to find green magic broccoli, or maybe snow crown, cauliflower, celebrity tomatoes, you name it. They're going to have what's good for you in season. And another one that's really important is really only plant what you're going to eat, right? The end goal is to get this vegetation, which is healthy and grown here, using organic methods, into cooking to benefit us, right? Us as humans, whether it being us personally or sharing with our community. Then you want to determine what type of container do I want? Do I want a pot? Do I want to use the ground? Do I want to go in raised beds? Figure out what's best for your needs. I know that sometimes people are in apartment gardens. You can find like city slickers. They have like these boxes with wheels that you can rotate. Those function as mobile raised beds. Or, in this case, you can build your own raised bed using the appropriate materials. But find out what's going to serve you in your needs best. So where you can go, you can easily do a quick Google search, how to make a raised bed. You're going to need, the standard items. You're going to need A power drill, you're going to need lumber, you're going to need nails, compost, fertilizer, landscaping fabric, and plants. There you go. And when you're thinking about lumber, it's really important that you get pressure treated lumber or cedar, right? Because those are going to have they're not going to be chemically treated. So you don't really want those chemicals that are leaching into your ground. So go find pressure treated lumber, or you can use cedar untreated. Those tend to be pretty good and lasting about anywhere between 5 to 7 years. They really go a long way. So you can drill them in at your sides. Here you can see this particular raised bed. I dig about 6 inches deep. I lay down my boards. I drill them in with the sides. I do pilot holes. I use my 3 to 4 inch screws and I lay out my framework. From there, I lay down either cardboard or my landscaping fabric. This is going to be permeous or permeable to allow water to go through, but really those plants, since it's black, can't be coming up. And you want to consider your irrigation. So putting your irrigation line and laying that on top once your soil is put in. So as you can see, a before and after picture. On the right side, we have our compost fully put in. It's fertilized. I can see here that we're in the summertime, so we just planted our melons. We're planting in the back. I see some eggplants, some peppers, tomatoes, and basil. We put in our organic compost mix, and it just looks really, really beautiful and good to go. The next thing you want to consider are 2 things, which is pesticide and fungicides. Pesticides are used to get rid of insects and organisms, right? So try to find organic pesticides the best way you can. Those are always really good. You can look at neem oil, spinosad. You can look at Bacillus thuringiensis, or also known as BT. You can also look at organic fungicides, which are going to take away harmful fungus that you see. But make sure to research and only apply the amounts of these pesticide, fungicide, insecticides, herbicides that are recommended based off of the label use. Try to find organic means as best as possible. Next is your compost and fertilizer. Compost, really important, right? Important for drainage and moisture retention. It's referred to as a soil amendment. So make sure to lay down your compost and then add your fertilizer. Your fertilizer is your plant food, preferably organic. We're looking for a ratio of organic that is going to have a complete fertilizer, which is all nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus are going to be in one mix. And we really are shooting for an organic granulus, right? So it's slow release. As it becomes water, it oxidizes and then releases into your plants. Miracle-Gro here. I don't use Miracle-Gro, but these next slides are just for educational purposes. In terms of Miracle-Gro, you can see right here at the very bottom, and in a lot of fertilizers that you'll find, that it tells you a nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus ratio. This is 20-20-20, nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. What you need is the recommendation from Texas A&M, which is 19:5:9. So when you go and you try to find a organic fertilizer, try to find something close to 19:5:9. That could be Espoma, which you have to make the adjustments depending on how much you're putting in per square footage, or maybe you're using ladybug fertilizer, so on and so forth. But do have that consideration. You don't want to use Miracle-Gro as compost, right? You want to make sure to have actual compost, right? So get 12 to 8 inches of soil, minimal growth at 6 inches, but really 12 to 8 inches is good. And then apply the right amount of fertilizer that you need. And the next big one is water in the mornings, right? You don't want to water in the midday when all of it evapotranspirates. You want to water in the mornings. Do not water on your leaves. That encourages disease and fungal growth. Water at the roots, guys. Water at the roots. You could water anywhere between 1 to 3 inches of water or rain per week, but really you want to water only when you need it. So that concludes my presentation, y'all. I really do appreciate you guys listening. Check us out at Gardopia Gardens, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. Look us up at www.gardopiagardens.org. I'm Dominic. I look forward to meeting you guys at the garden. Y'all take care and have a great day.